Welcome back. If you're not feeling great right now, first of all, I'm sorry. I know it's the start of winter, and when it hits, it hits. When it comes to feeling unwell, knowing when to manage symptoms at home and when to seek professional assistance can be a little bit tricky. And of course, we often lean on Dr. Google, which might not be our first jumping off point. Well, we have brought in the incredible Dr. Leila Kasim, founder of CMed Health. And she is here to help us understand when common symptoms can be managed at home, how we can mitigate that ourselves, and when they may signal something a little bit more serious. Thank you so much for being here on a number of levels in your own journey, and we have spoken quite openly about this, so you're part of the family now. 7 months into this particular journey, how are you?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm well.
Oh, well, I like it. Like, you're the one doing us a favor here, girl, so please don't forget that. Doc, this must be an interesting time for you because there are grey areas when we enter into winter. You've got to kind of push through it very often and just manage the symptoms, but it can be the indication of something quite serious. So what are the dangers of ignoring an illness early on?
So often our lives are so busy, we often ignore and brush off these minor symptoms. So symptoms like having a slight headache or a slight little niggle or cough. But often if we don't attend to it, it can progress. So a persistent cough can progress into something more sinister like a pneumonia, or if you've got a severe headache or a prolonged headache, it could mask something like high blood pressure or high sugar. So it is important to identify the minor little symptoms and try to navigate and treat it early on to prevent a further complication.
Yeah, and it's amazing how these things can ramp up, and especially when you've got kids, it can go from 0 to 100 very quickly. I'm just thinking, thank God we've moved away from the croup phase of existence, which I'm sure you are relishing, embracing yet again. How do we mitigate then? Because often if you can get the body feeling a bit better, suddenly it's superpower kicks in when we heal ourselves. So how do we handle that first phase of the niggles and the sniffles? So
I always say that these symptoms are signals from your body saying that something is wrong. So it's always a good idea to identify them. And there are so many over-the-counter or home remedies or lifestyle modifications that can help mitigate these sort of symptoms and help you combat these symptoms. It's all about lifestyle measures. It's about boosting your body's own immune system, because essentially you will be fighting off the immune system. The viral infection.
100%. Your body's got to go to war,
Exactly.
you know, and it needs to feel as strong as you can. It's not easy when the man flu hits, okay? And it feels like often, I think I've even gone to see an oncologist when the man flu has hit because I felt so bad. But it's often very difficult to know the difference. So what is our body experiencing with colds and flu versus a pneumonia? Talk us through how that ramps up.
So that's quite important. Often people or patients feel that those are variations of each other, so cold or flu or pneumonia, but they are actually quite different in severity and how we manage them. So a cold usually is a gradual onset, and you'll have minor body aches and pains, maybe a slight headache, whereas a flu is sudden onset, a severe headache, severe body aches and pains and exhaustion. And then for pneumonia, that is a lower respiratory tract infection. So it's a chest infection, which often needs to be treated by your doctor or healthcare provider.
Specific. Yeah.
Exactly, with an antibiotic. And it's important to know because it can be quite severe. And then colds and flus can often progress if your immune system's not optimal into something like a pneumonia.
Yeah, and you've got those beautiful things like a glandular fever that can sneak in when the immunity's low, and it's often that baseline of where your immune system is, which says to me we can be proactive about this. And you're a great exponent of preventative medicine, which I love, and kind of pushes against the grain in the big pharma space, which is lovely to have that mentality. How do we prevent the onset of colds and flu?
So preventative health is something that I'm very passionate about, and I think everyone should. It's something so easy. It's something that all of us can do. It's about lifestyle measures. It's about eating a balanced meal, increasing your fiber in your diet, adding those slight vitamins like zinc, calcium, magnesium. It's about having adequate rest, maintaining and managing your stress levels, because that impacts your immune system. If you are smoking or if you are drinking alcohol, it's about just reducing that amount, because that also affects your immune system. And then, of course, it's just about fluid hydration and then your usual hygiene. So washing your hands or avoiding closed, contained spaces. If you are in an office space or a classroom, ensure that there's adequate ventilation. So these simple little tips to ensure that your immune system is boosted so you can prevent these things.
And if someone comes in wearing a mask to protect everyone else around them, don't judge them like the old days, okay? Say thank you, because people understand now. We get it. Over the counter versus going to your doctor. And I would imagine you often sit with someone saying, I wish you had. I wish this had. But we are so, I think, empowered by what we can get over the counter. So there's power in both. How do we know? What advice do you have for someone?
So this is also something that's so important. I always tell my patients that go with your gut feeling. So often if you've got minor symptoms like a little bit of a headache, the sniffles, or a little bit of allergic rhinitis, you can manage your own symptoms with over-the-counter medication. But if symptoms persist for longer than a few days, or if they are quite severe, or if you develop danger signs, so very high fever, progressive symptoms, chest pain, or shortness of breath, seek medical advice immediately.
Yeah, the temperature, especially with kids, the temperature is such a great kind of a litmus test. And you can even go online and you can connect with health professionals in the most powerful way. If I've been through it, I'm feeling it now, I'm starting to come through the worst, how do I look after myself? How would you describe to one of your patients the best way to look after yourself if you're sick to get back out there and fighting again as soon as possible?
So I would just say, again, to reiterate those lifestyle modifications. And it's things that you already know. It's making sure that you've got adequate sleep, adequate hydration, fluid hydration, eating well, resting, recovering, and just boosting your own immune system. So, you can add those multivitamins as well, but it's looking after your own health and your own immune system so that you can fight off bacterial or viral infections.
Just very quickly, is there a time frame? Is it 2 weeks that I need to take off and just chill and sleep? We often get a day in our industry and then you've got to push through. But what is a requisite time, or what would you be comfortable with a person giving themselves to recover from the kinds of colds and flu that happen around us during winter like this?
So it all depends on your symptom severity and how you present and what you're presenting with. So if it's something like a minor cold, I would say just a few days. If it's something like influenza, it is a longer sort of progression of symptoms. So you may need to be off work for a little bit longer, maybe even for 5 days. And then if it is something like a pneumonia where perhaps you need an antibiotic or even sometimes hospitalization, then obviously your rest needs to be longer. So it all depends on how you present and the severity essentially. But a good few days.
Yeah, you need it, you deserve it. I love it, and all the bosses out there going, but we work from home these days. You've got to give yourself the time and the tools to recover. Dr. Kasim, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here. And the crazy thing is she's straight off to her practice to keep doing this for the rest of her amazing patients as well. We really do appreciate the role that our doctors, our healthcare professionals, our pharmacists play right now. Knowing the stages of sickness and when to act can make all the difference in recovery. We want to get back out there. And if you're ever unsure about your symptoms, if there are any questions, reach out to your doctor or even just your local pharmacist for some guidance. And while you're at the pharmacy, ask about the ADCOCK INGRAM OTC Winter Survival Pack. It is brilliant. Your go-to for easing common winter symptoms so your body can do what it does. Plus, you stand the chance of winning an added 2,000 Rand if you reply to the competition post on the Expresso social media pages with your go-to pharmacist and why you trust them. Ian, I love you, guy. Don't forget to hashtag ADCOCK OTC Winter. And the competition closes this coming Sunday, so not a huge amount of time, but you can find the T's and C's on expressoshow.com. Now, I have a feeling these boots are made for walking.